Hello everyone, welcome to Self-Empowerment TV, and today we have a very special guest. We have another fellow channeler on, Daniel Scranton. Daniel, thank you so much for being part of Self-Empowerment TV today and allowing me to come through to do this interview with you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Brad. It's good to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, we do have a couple of channelers that are coming on through Self-Empowerment TV. So Daniel, with, again, your unique ability of the channeling state with the creators, would you like to tell everybody just how this all began for you? How did you begin the process of channeling and how it all kind of unfolded into your life?
Sure. Well, I would say that primarily it got started by my interest in channeling, because if I didn't know about channeling, I probably wouldn't have known what was happening to me and then, pursued it in the way that I did. So what did happen was that I just started to notice that I would get involuntary movements during Reiki sessions that I would be giving other people. So my hands would move and my head would move, and then when my mouth started to move, I thought that I might be getting ready to channel. And in fact, it was almost like I was whispering but not words. So there was actually sound coming through. And more and more I got to this understanding that this was something that was happening. I received a huge energy transmission in the middle of the night one night. I just woke up from a dream and started receiving these downloads of energy, and they were so wonderful and so good feeling that I just wanted more and more of that. And so that brought me to want to meditate even more and go deeper into meditation. When I went really deeply into meditation, I would dry heave, which is what you do right before you throw up. Right. So I actually asked Abraham when I was in the hot seat one time about what was happening and whether this was the beginnings of my own channeling. And they said, yes, it is. Continue to work your way through this resistance that you've got to it, and just keep doing what you're doing. So I would sit and I would have someone ready with questions for me. And for about 45 minutes, I would just go into this state where I felt like there was so much energy in my body and my head and my mouth and everything was moving. And then eventually sounds started to come through. And they were like phonetic sounds, like t, just over and over. And then eventually I did begin speaking, and that was about 3 years ago.
Excellent. So with the creators, I guess how they bring themselves together with the phonetic sounds, even when you channel as well too, there's specific body postures that you utilize as well too in that form of channeling. Can you explain a little bit about that, about the purpose behind the sounds, or perhaps the certain positions and postures that you go to through channeling?
Well, it's all involuntary, first of all. So just like the very beginnings of my channeling, which I noticed things were happening, it's still a case where I don't know that what movement is coming next, but there does seem to be a consistency with a figure eight. So my head moves in a figure eight. Sometimes my head won't be moving, but my hand will move in a figure eight. The infinity symbol. My understanding is that when you move your head in an infinity symbol, the two sides of the brain are able to communicate better, or something like that. I also recognize the power of sound, the power of toning. And so my tones that come through in the very beginning stages, I would say as soon as I'm toning, I'm channeling. So in those very beginning stages, those are tones and overtones coming through at the same time, which help, I believe, to create a better connection between myself and the creators, or open a portal. There's lots of different ways of looking at it, but those tones themselves can be so healing for the person who's listening. I've heard people describe tingling sensations that they get when they're listening to the tones. I've heard that people see things when the tones are coming through. So I believe it's not only a part of the channeling, but that it's also helping me to make the connection with the creators that I need to make.
Oh, great. So with the people that have witnessed the creators, and of course through your own personal experience of channeling the creators, what particular type of lessons, I guess you could say energetic exchanges, have you noticed that have been really profound through you, or what others have shared with you that may have been equally profound as they've experienced the creators?
Well, energetic exchange is a good word for it, because as a person myself who's attended many events where other people have channeled, what I've come to realize is that it's not so much about the message. It's not so much about the words coming through the channel. It's what you feel when you're there. It's the frequency that's being held by the channel that creates a space in the room for everyone to get the answers that they want to get, and they're getting them from their own guides, or from listening to the creators, or from their own higher self. But there's, it's the frequency that's being maintained in the space, and that's the feedback I get most of all. I also get a lot of people saying that whatever it is that they read from the creators that day, or listened to, was a synchronicity for them in some way. It was the perfect timing for them to get that message. Overall, I would say the creator's message is pretty simple. It's love yourself through this process that we're all going through. Allow yourself to feel the feelings that are coming up for you. Be open, be transparent, communicate, and when you have the opportunity to get yourself in a state of being where you can choose a frequency, then go into your heart center, choose the frequency that you want to emanate, and let that be the way that you create your reality.
Excellent. That's fantastic. So with the process that you go into to bring the creators in, where do you feel that you're going? Like what happens, do you feel, to your conscious awareness when you start to go into the process of bringing in the creators?
I feel like I'm doing a really good job these days, especially just noticing that I'm completely in that blank just awareness, but not in a thought, not in a thinking place. What's that?
Kind of like a void of awareness?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
so I'm listening to I'm listening to the tones, I'm kind of just, I'm not expecting anything, which I think is great, because I channel every day a message from them. And I almost never anticipate what's going to come in that message. So in that state where I'm toning, there are lots of places where my mind could go, but for the most part, I just feel that stillness and that awareness. And then during the channeling, there are times when, I still stay very conscious. And there are times when I feel that I'm judging my own channeling. And so it's an interesting experience, because I'm very much like an observer of what's happening. And also a conscious translator. So I'm very, very present, very aware of what's happening, and realizing that I have to translate this huge stream of energy that's coming through me into English. So a lot of times I'm just completely on autopilot, and sometimes I am in that state of noticing what's coming through, either feeling good about it or not feeling so good about it. Sometimes I get images too. When I'm channeling, I'll see something, and then the creators will talk about what I'm seeing. So that's really interesting too.
Excellent. And that's kind of what I feel as well too, like going into my own process with the Drones. There's times where I'm kind of involuntary starting to counter-rotate, and that's basically just, maintaining a vortex with his energy, and I kind of go into that state as well, like a void of just awareness. And then basically kind of create the visualization of going from Venus to the Sun, and of course to the star Sirius, and everything just takes off. I felt that was kind of my process as well too, just beginning, and I'm judging a lot of the information. Oh my God, I gotta go back. What did Adrona say about that and all that? So it shows that the ego mind wants to do that.
Exactly.
So.
I had no idea before I started doing this that it was possible to be so present during a channeling. I always understood that, Esther Hicks and Daryl Anka were just off in some dreamy, airy-fairy place where they were having a completely different experience. And perhaps they are, because I do know that all channels are different, have different experiences, and also that as we're shifting, I believe there are more and more people who are starting to channel, and the people who are starting to channel in the recent years, I believe most of them are present and conscious during the channel.
Yeah, I've discovered that myself as well.
Like the Jane Roberts way, the Esther way. That's like the way that it used to be for channelers, and now because we're in this time of integration, because we're in this time of bringing our higher selves into our physical bodies and being our own guides, and that's what we're here to teach. Really, is everyone be your own guide, not that we're accessing some beings up in the sky somewhere who have all the answers.
Right.
That can create all sorts of problems.
Yeah, it's true. Speaking of problems, there's still that fly that's buzzing around you too.
I know, it's joining in,
Yeah, it's saying, come on, get to the creators already, go on. So, anyways, why don't we go ahead and we can bring in the creators, and we can say hello to them, and they can introduce themselves to the members of Self-Empowerment TV. So whenever
Excellent.
You feel
you turn the volume down on my end. I don't know if that's actually going to help.
I can probably just turn the volume down on my end, so don't worry about
Okay.
your end. I'll just turn it down on mine, so it should be fine.
Okay.
All right, so looking forward to hearing from the creators. Take it
And
away.
I'll talk to you in a second.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Oh, hey. Yeah. Oh, hey. Yes. Oh, hey. We are here for you.
Hello, creators. Hello, creators. Thank you very much for being here for us today. I would like to ask you first, would you be able to introduce yourselves in regards to who you are and your relationship to the conduit, Daniel Scranton?
Yes. Very well. We are a collective of beings. We exist in a 12th dimensional frequency state. We have a connection to this channeler here. In a sense, you could say that his future self is a part of the collective that we are. Everything and everyone is, of course, connected, but you do have certain connections that you make as you have separated yourselves out into individuated consciousnesses. So there are many beings who comprise the creators, and they also have connections to other beings who are incarnate at this time on your earth. Some of them are those that Daniel knows, and some are those that he does not know, and some are, of course, from other planets, other star systems, other galaxies. So we like to get around, have a lot of different points of focus all over this universe.
Oh, wonderful. Now, in regards to your relationship with the planet Earth and with Daniel as well, what are your energetic, I guess you could say, understandings relating to what is happening upon planet Earth and to its people at this time?
Well, we are here to assist you. We are teachers, we are guides. It is our desire to support you in the transition that is well underway on your planet. So we recognize that there is a shift happening, that all of you are moving to a higher frequency state. And as you do this, more and more, like us, are making connections with you to lend our support and our perspective. So we give you one way of looking at your shift, of looking at your lives, and of looking at yourselves. It is by no means the way. We do not pretend to have all of the answers for you. We just give you a certain point of view that, from our perspective, is helpful, and we will love you and support you, and we send you whatever energetic transmissions that you are willing to accept. Whether you accept them or not, however, we continue to send that love and that support that can be of assistance to you during this time when all of you are finding yourselves in this momentous shift that you are experiencing.
Excellent. Thank you. And relating to what the conduit, Daniel Scranton, is going through right now with your energies, are you able to describe the process of how your energies are bonding together with his own to interact in this way through him?
Well, it is as if we are creating a gateway. We are creating our own dimension together, where it is possible to make this type of energetic transmission and interpretation. So because of his familiarity with our energy, he is quite capable of tuning himself to our frequency so that there can be an understanding, there can be a bridge that is built, that we are always here, we are actually always present. However, there needs to be a slight adjustment to what it is that he is offering in order for that connection to be made. So we are also willing and able to tweak our own vibrations so that we are accessible to him in this way. So, as we have said, we are always present, but we make ourselves a bit more accessible to his frequency in the process of linking up.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Now, relating to your collective, would it be correct to assume that there are many other people on this planet that may also represent, I guess you could say, a past self relating to your future aspect of your collective?
Yes.
Excellent. Very wonderful. And are they in communication with you very similar to how Daniel is?
Most are not.
I see. Is there a particular process that some can do that would be able to, perhaps through meditative states, being able to access more of your collective energies in a certain way?
Well, everyone can access whatever beings they want to access. What we have been telling Daniel of late is that this process of connection need not be difficult. It is only because many of you think it is difficult, many of you believe that you are not capable of making this type of connection, that it does not happen very easily for you. If you think that you need to spend a certain number of hours every day and a certain number of days in order for you to make a connection like this, then you are creating that experience for yourselves. But if you recognize that whatever beings that you want to connect with, you are able to connect with. And we would advise you to decide what beings you want to connect with, to be very specific and to know that if you are choosing to connect with that being, then there is already a connection there. So you may say to yourself, I want to channel the Archangel Michael. And then you may think immediately, well, everyone wants to connect to Archangel Michael. What business do I have with Archangel Michael? What makes me so special that I can connect to Archangel Michael? Well, just by the simple fact that you chose, out of all the beings that you could connect with, that Archangel Michael is the one that popped into your consciousness, tells you something. It tells you that there is already a connection there. And so the next thing that you can do is to simply quiet your mind, let go of those doubts that you have, and open yourself up to the possibility that it is very easy indeed for you to make a connection. And the next thing that we want to invite you to do is to not be so specific with how you make your connection. So you may have more of a non-verbal exchange with a being. You may just sense them in the room. you may get images in your mind, you may get feelings, impulses, whatever it is that you receive is simply your way of receiving that energy. So just because many of you who are watching this now are very much interested in the type of channeling that Daniel is doing and that Brad does not mean that that is going to be your way of receiving and interpreting energy. Allow yourself to get whatever it is that you are getting and trust that what it is you are getting is real, is not just your mind playing a trick on you. And that is the best way for you to start down a journey of making these types of connections.
Excellent. That is wonderful advice. Now, to the creators, is there any particular message that you would like to share with everybody today before we conclude this transmission?
Yes, we would like all of you to take a moment out of your busy days and to, for absolutely no reason at all, give yourselves the experience of unconditional love and acceptance of yourself. We want you to do this because you are so important. You are so significant to the process that is underway. And many of you are not necessarily giving yourselves any credit whatsoever for just being here and experiencing what you are experiencing. And we want you to acknowledge yourselves and to give yourselves that love and acceptance that feels so good when you do it, but that many of you are still giving yourselves all sorts of excuses for not receiving, for not granting yourselves. And still others are looking for that acceptance and looking for that love outside of themselves. And we say that the most important thing that you could do for yourselves and for the purpose of this shift in consciousness is to acknowledge, accept, and love yourselves right now. No need for anyone else to validate you, no desire for you to create something through this process, but just give yourselves that experience, because we want you to see you as we see you. We want you to have that experience. We want you to love yourselves. And we assure you that you are lovable, you are good, you are all source energy beings.
We thank you so much, the creators, for bringing yourself forward here today through Daniel. I want to give you my heartfelt appreciation and unconditional love for you being here today in our presence.
Well, we accept that and we reciprocate those feelings back to you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hey, Daniel. What a very intense experience that was. I couldn't even begin to tell you. It just, as soon as it was happening, it's like just all this energy, just like a field impulse, poof, just coming through. So just tremendous, amazing energies coming through.
Thank you so much.
Through the sounds, resonance as well too. It was just, wow. I was like just trying to keep myself still. Okay, just keep yourself still.
we're both going like this. It's a crazy interview.
How do you feel afterwards?
I feel lighter. I feel more connected, more aligned, more awake, happier. Just feel better about. If I channel a couple or 3 times in a day, I mean, I'm just flying at the after receiving all of that and having those experiences. It's just so good for my system. That's why I know that this is something that I was born to do.
Absolutely. So how can people get a hold of you? Do you have a website?
Oh, yes. My website is danielscranton.com. Scranton is spelled just like the town in Pennsylvania. I'm also on Facebook.
I'm friends with Brad, so if you're watching this, you're probably friends with Brad, and you can friend me on Facebook, and I post daily messages. I do an audio, so I record the messages and I transcribe, and they go up on YouTube with a still photo that I usually take that day. So you can just listen or you can read, but you can subscribe to those on the website, or you can just go to Facebook, friend me, I'll accept your friend request, and they'll be there every day.
Great, excellent. So we'll go ahead and we'll have those links up here on the video. So Daniel, thank you so much for bringing the creators today, for again sharing your presence with all of us today. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for just again being part of the Self-Empowerment TV archive, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. And everybody, go ahead and check out danielscranton.com and add him on Facebook. That link will be up here as well too. Thanks again, Daniel. Much love to you and to the creators. Namaste.
Namaste, Brad.